If you want me, if you need me, I'm yours.
We're back again. Back again, warming up. I'm still on the Sato train. Yeah, we're going to get into that. There's a few things maybe I want to talk about today, maybe I don't know. I just finished watching the boxing. And like, congratulations to Dubois, man. It was a crazy fight, and Wardley's a soldier. It's actually mad. The way, I mean, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just like, go on YouTube. Someone's probably putting an illegal like copy of it on. And just watch this Wardley versus Dubois fight, man. It was like it was crazy. It was like the craziest fight. Even like the ending. And I rate Wardley, man. He was willing to die out there. And the team were willing to let him try, until the bitter end. He must have told them, listen, no matter what happens, don't stop this fight, innit? There's a clip of him like afterwards, and he's in his corner. He's standing up. He looks fine. Wardley, who lost, he took a hellacious beating, man. He's definitely a warrior. Like he's definitely got the warrior's code, as Eubank would say. Like I ain't got the warrior's code. I mean, I don't. The worst thing I think about not, putting yourself in that position, you don't know if you have the warrior's code, innit? You avoid it, like confrontations and stuff like that. Like I boxed before. I boxed for like 3 years, and like it was more like a sport, like hit, not get hit, like sort of muck around. It wasn't serious, like 60, like 10-ounce gloves or whatever, or however 8-ounce gloves, and just like the guy can fully like chin you. And I remember someone saying to me like sparring in like actual real fights, professional fights, like those gloves are so small they can actually get around your guard, so the guard isn't really that effective. Plus, yeah, man, it's just like you can throw faster and harder like with smaller gloves. So yeah, it's madness. Like, but he took his beating like a man. And yeah, I mean, it's a shame. I'm a big Wardley fan because not because like I would ask the or anything like that, but every time he has a fight, it's epic. He's never been in a bad fight, So he's all about the sport and entertainment. So I rate him for that. Anyway, that's off topic. What did I want to talk about today? And I'm gonna keep talking about it until people get it or they don't get it. Is Sato or Sato? This coin has come out of nowhere. The contract's revoked by everyone. The LP's got this interesting function. It's got a Uni4 for hook, B4 hook, and it's just like it just keeps going up. Like you can see the chart here. It's only been out since when? Like last week? 3rd of May. 3rd of May it came out. And no one owns it. It's supposed to be like I guess it is like a completely decentralized token. Fair launch. People weren't able to snipe it. Someone just made an 8 grand buy, which is insane. No was able to snipe it even up to now. Like max buy you can do is like 5k on the actual, or mint was 5k on the actual site or website. So I mean the narrative's like spun around quite a bit. At first there was some FUD. I think I've explained it 2 days ago on my last stream. where I waffled on about it, like I'm gonna waffle on now. And basically, it's never gonna fully mint out. There's only supposed to be like 21 million tokens, and at the moment we're at what 20 million 200,000. I think max cap is actually so. Yeah, it's basically, yeah, it could never get to 21 million because some are in the staking pool and other reasons. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about today was basically I'm not sure if I understand it, because like it seems like to me, like in regards to this token, is like every day there's a new like dynamic to it. So the previous dynamic was sort of like, okay, so there are two different prices. Okay, you have the mint price, which is 164. So the only way that anyone's going to mint more tokens, why they would mint more tokens, is if the actual second price, which is the PVP price, this is the price where people can trade or buy and sell on like a decentralized exchange, is lower than the actual mint price. So at the moment, the mint price exceeds the actual purchase price. And in the meantime, every time someone trades this token or mints it, part of the fees that are paid go into a reserve, which is this 4.16 million. And that basically acts as a floor for the token. Okay, that those funds in there cannot be touched or removed. It's just basically liquidity, allowing people to trade in and out. Liquidity can be reduced if people were to burn the token. So like at the moment, you can see if you were to take your Satos and burn them, you would get 81 cents per Sato, whereas the market price at the moment is $1.41. So why would anyone burn it, right? So yeah, there's that. Once Saito hits a certain threshold in regards to the mint, which I think is like now, or like the cap, which is like 3,000 ETH accumulated into the reserve, a burn function happens anyway. So if anyone sells Saito after the actual deprecation of this website, it basically becomes like a reduction. So like, yeah, every time someone sells, it doesn't go back into circulating supply, it just gets burnt. So yeah, there's many reasons why this token I feel could go up or should go up like massively. And I'm all here for it, man. I'm all here for it. So there's like they switched up the website as well, which is what I wanted to go through as well. So like we could just like briefly read through it, because like the font's quite small. So like at the bottom here, so you've got the curve and the supply. So at the moment, the green line is the current accumulated ETH, which is 1,789, which is more. So this hasn't moved yet. Okay, yeah, and let's see the green. Yeah, the supply is currently saying 19.5 mil, and it just follows it up. So at the bottom here, it's got the Saito data, which it didn't have before. So the max supply would be 20,790,000. Circulating at the moment is 19,057 million. There are currently 8,798 holders, which is going up every day. Like, you know, more and more people are buying and holding this token, which is a good sign. So yeah, market purchase. So if you were to buy it on the decentralized exchange, you pay $1.42. If you burn it, in return, you'd get 81 cents of, and that would be paid to you in ETH. And the mint price, if you wanted to mint some fresh tokens now, it would cost you $1.64. So no one's going to actually mint any tokens now. So the current circulating supply is the circulating supply. The only way, as I said before, anyone would mint is if, for instance, say they sold now on Uniswap, like a decentralized exchange, they would get $1.42 per Saito. Price goes down, the mint price basically goes below the market value, which I think is impossible now. And then you could actually get more Saito in returns for your ETH. Let's see. So the market cap. So even if you were on this site, for instance, so there's no actual sell on this site. That's interesting. Before it used to be like you could buy and sell, but now or mint and sell, but now you can only mint and burn. So they've taken away the ability to sell on this site. So yeah, that's interesting. Market cap's currently at 29 mil. Yesterday or 2 days ago, it was at like 15 mil. So it's doubled. Liquidity, it's got $4,160,000 worth of liquidity, which allows for bigger participants, you know, people with more money to get in and out of the token with like minimal slippage. But you can see on the actual, you know, Uniswap, for instance, the decentralized exchange, the current liquidity is only at 1.9 mil. Not, I say only, but that's still a substantial amount and allows for bigger players to get in with minimal slippage. So you can see like bigger purchases coming in, you know, like 4-figure purchases coming in like at the moment. And it's just a continuation of price action until people realize what this thing is, which is like a decentralized store of value on Ethereum with a burn function. Okay. Yeah, I'm waiting to see what the scam is, but at the moment I can't see anything. The contract looks sturdy. It's very simple. There's very little room for, like, you know, tech bloat or like code bloat where like potentially someone could slip in a little something. And I'm constantly reviewing the code just to see, like, just to make sure, like, you got to keep making sure on these new things that, you know, there's nothing that could actually happen where you could get fucked over in terms of someone hacking the smart contract and forcing, for instance, the reserve to issue funds out of it or something like that. Because as soon as there's any lack of trust in this sort of protocol, it all falls apart. It's what happened with Unipeg, like, you know, in terms of their NFT mints and people doing the necro moans, whatever they were. Yeah, it just fucked it all up. Current volume, so today in 24 hours it's done $4.8 million in volume, and that's on Sato. So but on the actual website, yeah, it's done like 4.4 mil. So that's slowly starting to go down now. So you're finding fewer buyers in terms of the size because of the price. But I mean, I'm telling you, this is like if you feel optimistic about this protocol and this token, this is kind of like buying Bitcoin at $1. I'm just putting it out there. And, you know, they've even put comparisons, like direct comparisons to Bitcoin in terms of its issuance, just to show you how exactly they match up. So instead of it being like, what's it called? Instead of it being like, you know, every 4 years, the halvening, this is based basically on the amount of ETH that is staked in a reserve contract. I'm not sure, like, to be honest, and I think I need to reread about it again. But I'm pretty sure, like, once this reserve hits a certain amount, it just basically issues the tokens or mints them. I'm not sure. That might be me waffling. You are here. So at the moment, there's an inflow of 1,691 ETH. 1K Sato is 1 ETH, I guess. And yeah, I think it's more than that. I think it's 2K, so we'll see. But the supply is currently at 20.2 million. Yeah, I think, like, the Sato site takes a while to catch up to what's actually going on. Yeah, so there's loads of things. So at the bottom here, it says Bitcoin issues in discrete halving epochs. Subsidy reaches 0 at around 2041. So the subsidy is what miners get paid in Bitcoin to secure the network. So every, you know, 4 years, if you don't know, and this is very, like, you know, from the beginning, if you don't know, every year there's a halvening, or every 4 years there's a halvening cycle in terms of the Bitcoin that's issued for mining a block and solving this mathematical equation. And that's why Bitcoin is valuable. So, like, a lot of people just assume, like, oh, it's just some made up thing, but Bitcoin, the value is actually powered by the amount of energy it is required to solve these blocks, these mining blocks, these complex equations. So this is sort of like a lottery, or whoever has the most power actually has, well, not really, but like whoever is lucky enough to be picked to actually mine a block and solve the equation. It's all automated. They basically get an allocation of Bitcoin. So at the moment you're getting like 3.125 Bitcoin per block mined, and then it halves in 4 years. So you'll see here the next halvening is in 2028, which is 2 years away from now, and then it'll be halved to 1.56, which is why, like, after every halvening the price of Bitcoin seems to go up. But the worry is that a lot of people in the know have about Bitcoin is that because the subsidy is going down constantly, basically the incentive to mine blocks and secure the network, provide power to mine and secure the network, is dissipates over time, unless the price of Bitcoin goes up. So at the moment you're saying that you're getting 3.125 Bitcoin. The current price of a Bitcoin is what? I don't even know. I should be paying attention to that. Is 80,000. So you're getting about times 3, 160, 240,000 per block paid to you. The amount of, but then you have to take into consideration the cost of actually mining the block, because it's an industrialized process now. People have got factories mining these blocks, governments are mining these blocks, big institutions are mining these blocks. As an individual, sitting in his corner of his room running a miner, you have a very minute chance of mining a block, but you still have a chance. But like the amount of cost that is applied might not justify you mining that block. Yeah. Ethereum's different. Ethereum's got like a proof of stake consensus method. So basically, it's like a lottery. Yeah, it's not more complicated, but it's just a bit more. It's less capital intensive. You're required to have like a minimum stake of 32 ETH. I think that's the maximum. 32 ETH. you stake it, and then there's like a lottery that plays out, and potentially you can then get the power to mine a block, and then you're paid out some sort of percentage in Ethereum. There's a slashing mechanism as well, so like, you know, if you mine the block incorrectly, or you try to corrupt the block by moving transactions in different ways, or like trying to manipulate the chain, your stake basically gets slashed, which is incentivizes people to be honest and keep the network, you know, neutral. So yeah, there's different ways of doing it. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that, oh well, I do, because Saito has its own issuance method, and I'm trying to figure out what that is now. But I think it's basically every time the reserve hits a certain amount, so you can see here like the accumulated ETH reserve, you can see that the cap percentage at the bottom, which is at 98%, goes up. Whereas in the beginning, and I said this before, when the cap reserve went up, so when you had ETH accumulated, like 23 ETH was in the actual reserve pool, you were getting a supply of 941, and you can see as it goes up, it escalates. So the supply basically bloats in the beginning of the issuance period, but towards the middle and end, any slight move only issues a smaller amount of actual Saitos. So like, yeah, the supply at the moment is 19.5 mil, and so basically there's like 700,000 more Saitos to be issued. So yeah, they're basically the supply is out, and it's going to take a lot of ETH, a lot more ETH, to issue a smaller amount of these Saito tokens. So the current supply is the current supply. But like I said before, once it actually hits its maximum, which is 3,000 ETH, then, you know, the burn function kicks in. And that's pretty much it. But like, yeah, I mean, if it plays out, it plays out. But yeah, to me, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a no-brainer to hold a token like this. Yeah, it doesn't have the you know, the utility of like a VVV, which the timeline's talking about. I can get into that. But it does have the store of value factor that is trying to play. And on Ethereum, there is actually no store of value. I'm trying to think of any token that, you know, I would hold other than USDC in DeFi for yield that has utility, you know, or a store of value. But even then, in saying that, the smart contract risk in most of these legacy DeFi protocols are just not up to spec, as you can see, because they're constantly getting hacked. Even the bigger ones are getting hacked, you know, and treasuries are getting you know, found out with, like, you know, smart contract bugs. You're finding out that devs are using wallets with their private key exposed to trade shitcoins, and then they're getting rugged. There's just too much. So basically, this is permissionless, and like, I feel like DeFi is not permissionless. It's supposed to be decentralized finance, but there's not like a decentralized part to this finance. And if there is a sort of centralized entity in charge of funds being held, it's basically a bank, and the people who are in charge, you're trusting them with your money or your funds. I wouldn't say money, you know, your crypto, whatever. So this is why, like, DeFi might find a bit of friction. The only one that I can think of, or like, there are a few protocols that are fully decentralized in a sense. I would say like Aerodrome and Uniswap, which are basically like trading platforms. Aerodrome's a bit more complicated because it provides a yield for you via vesting, or like a VE, vested token, where you vote every Wednesday. I think that's still the case, and then you basically get paid out on what you vote on. It's like, there's steps. I could do a video. I think I've done like a video on my YouTube channel about Aerodrome and how it works, but I'm sure it's going to be way more advanced than that. And you know, they've got their big release coming up, I think June, maybe July, where they're moving on to ETH mainnet to compete on fees with Uniswap. It's an interesting thing because, you know, you've got the Aerodrome lot basically saying, oh look, our yields are way better, you know, we're way more efficient, you could earn way more money trading on Uniswap, on Aerodrome, or vesting with Aerodrome, staking your tokens and getting a vested NFT and voting. We share all of our fees with our users, basically, is what they're saying, which is true, you know. And they also like constantly iterating on the yield process. So like, you know, basically they're saying that in the next upgrade, the amount that you could earn could you know, increase like substantially. So yeah, there's that. But like, I think Uniswap don't see them as competitors because they've gone for the V4 hook thing, which is like a programmable smart contract that you can attach to any other sort of like primitive. So how do I put it? for instance, this Saito, the reserve is actually in a V4 hook that has the function of the burn. So it's like a dumb contract on top of a smart contract. So they've gone a different route, but it works really well. And what I think is we're gonna see in the near term or in the near future is like more protocols coming out that have like the original functions of DeFi, but for security reasons, something will be put in a dumb contract like a treasury. And it's going to be a lot harder for anyone to hack that treasury because it's immutable. Basically, the V4 hook could be hard coded on top of like a smart contract. So you've got the dumb contract that does the function and all the cool shit that provides a yield or like does some other things that I'm building. Personally, I keep trying to build with Claude and I get to a point I'm just like no, but like I think I found something that's very cool. For me, it's not for sale or anything like that. Yeah, so you could have like the DeFi primitive where people are doing swaps and providing liquidity or whatever else, and then you've got the contract for the execution, which is the V4 hook, which is just like that's what it does. It just like provides the yield, and the rest does the swaps and everything else. So it sort of like delegates away any complication from an actual protocol. So yeah, there's going to be plenty more of like V4 hooks implemented into into builds. Yeah, that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. Yeah, but in terms of like AI, like what could you do with V4 hooks that would like make things a bit more interesting? And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So yeah, Saito is a V4 hook. It's not verified by the Uniswap Foundation though. So whoever's dropped this, basically they did it off their own accord, and they just thought, you know what, I want to be the next Satoshi, and this is how we're going to do it, and they've just dropped it. It could be anyone, mate. It could be anyone. It could be someone super smart. It seems like they are because they're constantly iterating. It's like everything is just working out a bit too smoothly, and I'm a bit too comfortable holding this token right now. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's watching, but like, yeah, the waffle is real. The waffle is real. Let's see. Any likes on my... Yeah, I said something about the Ward DeFi, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get in a bit of trouble for this, but I was just like, in the fourth round, I saw that, he basically, the first round started, and Woodley, this guy, he just came out and he just like hit him on the top of like the boy on the top of the head, dropped him like within the first 5 seconds. It's crazy, like, and he was winning the fight up until the round 4, and then in round 4, like I noticed, like, this was live as well, because I've like been in the ring and I kind of know what it's like. I'm not saying I'm a pro fighter or anything like that, but I boxed for like a certain amount of years. Like, I saw a rub in the eye. I saw it like maybe twice in one round, in the fourth round. And I noticed that Woody's eye started to swell up, and then he just started getting battered. He started getting his ass kicked. And I was just kind of like, yeah, it looks like he did that on purpose. And, I watched it in slow motion back again. I took screenshots. I looked at it. I'm just obsessed with it. And I was just like, yeah, it looks like he's done something a bit not fair. Not fair in terms of like the actual competition or the sportsmanship of the fights. And then I go back to thinking about like the presses and like the pre-fights and all of that. And Dubois was basically saying, I don't care, I'm ready for war. I'm gonna win by any means necessary. And if it means that I've got to rub this guy's eye because he's dropped me twice, I'm gonna do that. If I have to pick him up and throw him on the ground, I'll do that. Like and it's just a shame because like I reckon if it was a clean fight. I'm not saying that anyone cheated or like in the heat of the moment things happen in it. There's no accusations there, but if those things didn't happen, it could have been a different fight. But I'm not accusing anyone of cheating. I don't want to get sued or taken to court or nothing like that. I'm live right now, so I have my opinion, and I think like if the fight was a bit more clean, perhaps Woodley would have done a lot better. Because as soon as his eye got messed up, like in that fourth round, and you can see it clearly after 1 minute 10, the hand goes in, the elbow follows, and then he gets pushed off, and you can see Woodley's uncomfortable from there. He can't see, his eye starts swelling, and then he gets the shit kicked out of him for 7 rounds. Man, it was horrendous in the end, but I rate him for still standing. Yes, here we go. So like comparing, so like even in terms, I'll keep going back and forth, okay? But even in terms of like Unipeg, Unipeg, I think the mistake that Unipeg made was that their V4 hook was complicated. And like I said, you've got to keep your Unipeg or your V4 hook as simple as possible, as clean as possible, like with very little smart contract risk. It's got to be very small, but it's got to be simple but effective. And I think what Unipeg did in terms of their V4 hook was that they added like a SVG function that allowed the NFTs to be broken into separate parts and then rebuilt upon the token being burnt and the token being minted. So like if you don't know, and I'll go over it again, if you don't know what Unipeg is like this NFT collection, but it's not. It's got a token separately from it. Now each token, when purchased, produces the NFT, but the NFT, the way it's made, is via an SVG sort of generator, which is a vector graphic generator. So if you don't know what a vector graphic is, it's basically a picture created by code. So each part is then put together randomly to create a new overall picture of this unicorn. And then if you sell it, then it blows apart, and then it becomes like, you know, burnt, and you get the money back, which is going to be the ETH. So yeah, there's like steps to it, but all of that happens within the V4 hook. And that's where someone saw, you know, that there was a problem with this V4 hook, or that they could take advantage of this V4 hook, and they did that, you know. So which is why, you know, you sort of saw the price like sell off. Let's see, we'll go back to Sato, but where is it? Mega UPEG, is it this one? Yeah, UPEG. But yeah, it's sort of like bouncing back now, but volume's not spectacular, you know. You can see the volume's down at 1.2 mil. So as soon as that happened, you sort of saw like it bounce around, and then, you know, the dev came out and he basically said, you know, we know about this, and that's why there's like a timestamp on every JPEG that's minted, or when you purchase a token, or when you purchase a UPEG token, and the NFT is minted, there'll be a timestamp on it, and the timestamp basically gives it value depending on like how long you've held it for. But that's down to, you know, a potential purchaser's perception of that JPEG. Because if you were to go on OpenSea, for instance, I don't know why you would, but like, you know, if you went on OpenSea, for instance, and you wanted to buy one of these Unipegs instead of buying the token, and minting one, yeah, you have to care basically whether, like, about how old the token, how old the NFT is, you know. And only someone who's in the know would be like, okay, that's a vintage one, I'm going to buy it. Doesn't necessarily mean that it has more value than one that's freshly minted. I'm not even sure what the UPEG unicorns NFTs are worth at the moment, if they're below the actual. That's a good question to actually ask. Let's have a look at that. Let's see if I can, without fucking up my stream. You know, oh, it's OpenSea, isn't it? Let's go there. Just give it a minute. So slow. We'll get there. That's the token. I don't know where the NFTs are. That's weird. Smoky X BTM means you got. Yeah, so these are them. So he's selling one now. Now this one, you see this side here, owned by. What does that side mean? I need to go to the actual collection. Can I actually see the collection? There we go. Right, so people are selling them for like 0.65, which is around the same price as the token. So there's like not even any incentive to buy the actual NFTs. So like, yeah, this NFT, for instance, like, you know, if you were to buy it, it would break apart and then it would be built again under a new one. But yeah, that's $3,000, you know. And you can just buy the token at a certain price and just, like, you know, mint your own one, which is half the price, I think, of what this person's trying to sell it for. They seem to think it's rare. So the cheapest one is going for how much? Which is 1,511. And the current, like, token price is what, 1,200. So for instance, if I was to buy this token now on Uniswap, right, it would actually mint one of these NFTs. It would mint a version of this NFT. What I would get, I don't know. It's like a random RNG SVG generator. So you could get any of these like different ones. But people seem to think that, you know, like, yeah, people are going to pay more because of, like, you know, the aesthetic of what their actual Unipigs look like. Which is it's a cool idea, you know. I mean, looking at them closely on OpenSea, I'm just not sure like how many, like one, two, like there's so many traits here. So you can imagine like each of these blocks, if you can see it clearly on the screen, they all break apart. The only thing that's solid is the actual base, which is this unicorn shape here. But even there, like there's like sort of a main tail sort of thing. Yeah, so there's way more to it than that. I can see why. I mean, I tried to do my own collection, and I got to a certain point where I could have got, like, you know, gone for the smart contract and done everything, even via a V4 hook as well. But then I realized that because it's already happened, whenever someone else is trying to, like, you know, release the same sort of thing with like a V4 hook with the SVG generator and everything else, but it's like a dog or a cat or something else, people are just like, it's a scam, I'm not touching it, there's only one, and that's the end of it, you know. So the only way I think you could be validated in actually dropping a version of this sort of NFT is if the Uniswap Foundation actually vouches for you. But what this means is that, you know, in terms of NFTs and production, the barrier to entry is a lot higher. So before, with NFTs, you could just mint you know, 10,000, I don't know, shit looking NFTs and then drop them on OpenSea, and people would buy them in the hype of it all, expecting things to go up. You can make like convoluted, like highfalutin promises about what this NFT means, what it represents, and people were buying into the narrative of it. But then once the market actually collapsed, and it hasn't been back since, I don't care what anyone says, since the market collapsed, yeah, no one's really that interested in purchasing any of these NFTs. But now you're seeing effort being put into it. Now you're seeing like utility being applied to it in terms of the V4 hook. Maybe they come back. I mean, that one looks cool. I like this one, you know. That's actually really cool. But the amount of like pieces that are involved here, it's insane. Each of these blocks is like one SVG or one piece of it, you know. So they all breaks apart and then it will create something like that, you know, which is a lot more simpler. So maybe it's based on like how many of these like blocks are in. So like, you know, the more blocks the better. That's got loads of blocks. I don't know. Very cool, very cool. But yeah, it's just not going to move. You can see like the total volume on the actual NFT marketplace is only 3 ETH, which is insane. That's nothing. So people aren't buying these, and they would rather just buy the token for like half the price, you know. In fact, people are selling it. I can see these like really selling off. Like, you know, if they go down to, it went down to what, 700 before. If it goes down to 250, like I would pick up a couple, you know, just for curiosity, just to see what I would get, just for the novelty of it all. Obviously, like they're saying that they've got other plans, but I think that's it. I think they've maxed out their plans. I think the plan was, you know, create your own like swap page and all of that. Drop the token, and then, you know, people can mint it, and then we'll go to OpenSea and it'll be a big release. But OpenSea doesn't have the clout or the what's the word? People don't really want to mess with OpenSea. Like, I mean, the NFT thing was a complete disaster. Fine, you know, there were too many scams came through. Same with meme coin. What's happening with the meme coin cycle? Same thing. And then, you know, the airdrop thing where they made an announcement that they were going to do it in December. They didn't. They said first quarter. They didn't. And now they're saying, you know what, it's just not a good time to do the airdrop to people like ex-users who spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars on their platform. They're just like, yeah, it's just not a good time. And then after that, they done I think it was GQ or something like that. They done a GQ article, and, you know, they're sitting there and looking all like godlike. And saying, explaining how, you know, great they are. And it's just like, you guys you're just so gone. You're so far beyond like what the real world is actually looking at you like, you know. You stay up there in your high tower. This thing's, I mean, they've made so much money that, you know, it doesn't matter what they say now. And, you know, that goes for like, same with like MetaMask and Pump Fund and all these ones that are promising airdrops or have promised airdrops. They're not going to do them because they've made so much money, and they're just like, well, why do we need to do anything? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, some of these are really cool. Like, I like that one. Bit pink. But for 2.69 ETH, that's like $5 grand, right? You guys have lost your mind. $6,251 for this. You've lost your mind. You've lost your mind. I don't know who you guys think you are. It's like, if you were to actually sell closer to mid price, like, and just keep recycling, you know, like sell one like $10 above each time, then you might make some money or something, or $100 a time, you know. But to sell it for like a markup of 3x is insane. Like, what are you guys thinking? What are you guys thinking? And they do look cool. I'm not gonna lie, they do. But what other utility could be added to this, especially if the contract's immutable? This one's very cool, but like it's 29. You can't even see it on the screen probably. Yeah, $67,000. Come on, guy. Come on, guy. NFT's not back yet. And you know when like retail, if retail ever comes back, right, and they see this, they're gonna be like, well, these people are still not. They still haven't learned. They still haven't learned from you know, their previous run-ins or the way they behave. Like, it's just weird. It's just weird. So yeah, you're better off if you did want one of these, like, you know, or you wanted something similar or anything like that. You're better off just buying the actual token on Uniswap for 1,241, and you'll probably get one that looks completely different from anything that's out, because that's the idea, and maybe it looks cooler. And if you don't like it, just sell it and buy another one. You know, just sell it and buy another one, because the price is not moving like, you know, exponentially higher. It's just like sideways. What would be interesting to know is, like, say for instance someone did buy that token or that NFT for like, you know, 69,000 or whatever it was they were selling it for, or like, let's just say like, yeah, they bought this one for 2 ETH. Yeah, so 6,500. Would that mean that the price of the token instantly marks up to 6,500, or does it mean that I'm not sure if the token price is actually affected by the fact that someone paid triple the price or 5 times the price for the NFT? Does that make sense? Like, I'm not sure if they're tied in together. I guess that's something that I would have to do some research into. But yeah, you can see like it's way more complicated to think about something like that sort of project in terms of the V4 hook than it is to think about, like, you know, Sato, which is just a simple dumb contract on top of something a bit more clever. Yeah, let's get back to it. Where is it? Sato, there you go. Took me a minute. Yeah, it's looking alright. We'll see where it goes. I've got a feeling I'm gonna wake up and it just spike. I mean, I'm hoping for war. You know, like you probably weren't here, but it was like YFI. There was a day where YFI just went ballistic. It was like the whole day it just went. You know, it just exploded, and everyone was like, "What the hell's happening?" And a load of insiders and a load of people who were, you know, paying attention like how I am now during that previous 2 bear markets ago, they made so much money. It sort of made them, you know, they caught YFI. I feel like this token could be the one that just like sort of just explodes and just goes crazy. You got a lot of people talking about VVV, which is Venice. So VVV, where is it? Venice token. You know, a lot of people are like, oh my god, I can't believe I missed Venice. Venice has been out for 2 years, bro. Like, you know, you could have like bought the token and staked it and done whatever. I mean, that looks like an impressive gain, right? What is it? It went from 67 cents. When was that? December last year. So in 5 months, I would say 4 months, it's got up. What? You could have got it at $1 back in December. It's got up 1,700%. So you got like a 1,700x, or yeah, 1,700% gain. If you had bought at the bottom. A lot of people probably bought the consolidation around here, so they made like, you know, a 10x on it. You know, that's the type of gains I'm thinking. Like, you know, you're buying sort of, well, I don't know actually, because this is where I would say this current token is Saito is. It's around there, but that's $5. You know, it went down to $3.19. I remember this token when it first came out. I think I bought it at 4, then I sold it. I was just like, yeah, it's not that interesting. I checked out basically what it is. I keep saying basically, or obviously, but you'll get used to it. What it is sort of like a token that you stake to get access to an AI, gets access to AI that is doesn't steal your data. So like, you know, when you're on like Claude, or you're on OpenAI or anything like that, and you're typing your stuff, they're taking that data and they're using it as training for their actual protocol, to the extent like where, or to train their model. Basically, their big model that's in a basement somewhere, that's powered by 1 million servers or whatever. But it's come to a point now where OpenAI are basically saying, "Oh, at some point we're going to start selling ads," and everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" So you could be doing your OpenAI stuff, and then all of a sudden you see an ad about something you were talking or thinking about, and it's because they're basically harvesting your data, just like Web2 has done, like Facebook did to people before they realized what was happening, and all these other platforms like Google, all of that. OpenAI is saying that, but Venice basically says, no, we're going to decentralize, the data, and it's not going to go to anyone. It's just basically going to stay with you. So it's like a privacy layer in terms of using AI. It also has access to all of those, facilities that Claude would use, or OpenAI, I believe. So you would still use OpenAI, but there's like a shield that protects you via Venice. We should actually just check out the website so I know what I'm talking about, because I might be talking shit. But yeah, it's another interesting protocol. It was made by a guy called oh, it's so bright. Take imagine more. Let's see what it's got. Decipher, optimize. So yeah, it's just basically AI. It's not just basically. It's really impressive, to be honest. I'm not gonna log in now. I mean, can I log in with my wallet? Pretty sure I signed in before. And they got another token called Dime. It's like I'm not sure if it's a stable coin, but it gives you access. This is with Google. To your passkey. There's AI needs to connect to your wallet. So yes, so it is a decentralized network. It was made by a guy called, like I said, Eric Voorhees, and he created he created a wallet way back in the day that I first used. It was I'm not sure if it was a hot wallet, but it was it was like a wallet where you could store your crypto. But I can't remember what it was called. Oh, it's a classic as well. I remember when, I think 2 bear markets ago, I was running low on funds, and I went in there and I found a shitload of ETH that I just left forgotten about. Or was it Cardano or something like that? There was a token in there, but I can't remember what it was called, and it will come back to me at some point. But Eric Voorhees has been in crypto from when before I was, and for the longest time, and he's a big believer in decentralized networks and people's privacy. So he comes across as an honorable character. I don't know him personally, so I can't say he's an honorable guy because I don't know him. But I've watched interviews. He's the one who pulled up Sam Bankman-Fried before it all went down. So if you don't know who Sam Bankman-Fried is, you probably do. Is the FTX guy who's in prison now for fraud and embezzlement, all sorts of madness, bribing officials. It was crazy. It was crazy. I read his book. His documentary book, and it was a bit weird, but it wasn't good, to be fair. The book, but it wasn't written by him. It was written by a guy who was following him. But yeah, he was the guy who pulled him up on the Bankless podcast. It was just basically why are you trying to fuck over crypto with legislation? And he called him out in front of everyone, and he made sense about what he was saying about in terms of emails. He was so you're trying to tell me that everyone needs to KYC for email now? Or what would have happened if everyone had to KYC for email? Email would not be a thing, It's an invasion of people's privacy to try and KYC all of these decentralized networks. The Clarity, which passes me on to the Clarity Act, which should be passing this week. There's a meeting on the 14th, which is in 4 days. I think it's Thursday, maybe Wednesday. Today's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So on Thursday, there's going to be the Clarity Act. They're going to take it to Congress. It's a bipartisan vote, which means that the Democrats and Republicans are both going to decide or have to agree on it in order for it to go to the president, who's going to sign it off. But the Clarity Act is massive in America. Once that passes, people are expecting Boomtown. The thing is, it's when you hear something like this, you're thinking, is it a sell the news event? But how could it be a sell the news event when crypto prices have been down in the doldrums for 18 months? Since the president came in, since Trump came in. The prices of crypto have just been down only since the Trump token and all the rest of the drama. Why World Liberty Fight, all of this stuff. You had the great October 10 dump where there were 4 sellers. No, it's up to now. Still, people don't know what happened there. Some people say it's an Oracle bug. Some people are saying it's CZ. No clarity on what happened there. But the Clarity Act is supposed to be the catalyst that pushes on the next bull market. What I think is going to happen. Right, initially, the people like myself or whoever manages to watch my content or get through my content to this point, people like us will buy it. We'll buy the tokens. We won't leverage long. There might be a spike in price, but then it will sell off and allow exits for anyone who potentially is struggling due to what happened in 1010. and then it will just consolidate through to the end of the year. It will pass, but it'll be like an anticlimactic event. And if it's not, and prices boom, then we all win regardless, isn't it? You know, Saito goes to 1,000 a token, everything goes green, and it just turbo goes, you know, and then everyone's like, what the fuck's going on? And then retail pay attention, and then we have a bull market for 3 months or something. Maybe longer, who knows? But like prices need to reprice higher, definitely, once the Clarity Act comes in. But I'm just not sure about the timing of it all. Once again, I'm just a guy in a room just talking. So who knows? Who knows? But it's interesting that that's going to happen at some point in the near-term future. What the Clarity Act brings basically is legal laws that allows developers to build things in the correct framework. So, you know, for years, like, you know, the bankless boys and people who are close to like politicians and stuff like that have been lobbying with, you know, the politicians to basically get laws passed that are fair for crypto developers. Now, I think the only reason why the Clarity Act is so close, or why it's going to happen now, is because, you know, the governments, or the US government likes stable coins because it gives them more control over, like, you know, the dollar, and it alleviates inflation as well, because then you can print infinite amount of dollars on chain. Now the assumption is that if like, you know, the governments are allowed to print infinite amounts of dollars on chain, what are they going to do with it? They're going to buy crypto assets, but that probably won't be the case. It's more than likely that they're going to just use it to generate more yield on their dollars, you know, via DeFi. But like, you know, then if I go back like 2 steps and I think about smart contract risk in DeFi, I mean, it's everything's still up in the air. But the Clarity Act does allow for like offshore crypto businesses such as, you know, Binance, Bybit, and all these other ones, and, you know, that are working in the Seychelles and Bermuda or wherever the hell they are. Where laws are slightly different, but it allows them to operate globally. Those will basically be cut off. So people who are, you know, got their tokens on Binance, they're going to have to KYC, AML, verify, and if they don't meet criteria, then potentially their funds could be frozen. In terms of decentralized networks, rules are going to be established in terms of what people can build and what people can use and what they can't. I think initially it's going to be like an open playbook just to see how it goes, but then that's been the case for the past 3-4 years. Where they're just like, okay, watching it in a sandbox just to see what people do, how people behave, what laws are being broken, and what things need to be put in place. Because you can't, like, you know, invent laws for things that haven't happened yet. Like, most legislation is put in place because something has happened, not because, you know, they're trying to do something in hindsight. And I think like the last administration, along with the bald guy, can't remember his name, everyone hates him, Gary Gensler. I think Gary Gensler basically tried to say that, oh, we're just going to apply the you know, the old rules to this new asset class, but it doesn't work that way. So they've had to watch it and see what rules have been broken and then apply laws in that sort of context. Whether it's a good idea or not, who knows? Who knows? But the point is that, you know, the US are finally getting laws that will allow institutions and individuals to trade crypto, put money into crypto. So it's going to be like a great, God willing, hopefully a great liquidity event for everybody that's involved in crypto up to now. I mean, you can see like the bear market is the bear market. It's pretty much over right now, isn't it? Like, you know, there's no one left. There's no one left except us. Okay, but yeah, I'm going to be back with an update on Saito tomorrow. We're just going to keep an eye on this price action. I've got a feeling something big's going to happen with this token in the near term. I mean, $10, like, you know, a 10x, maybe. I mean, I would love an 100x. I don't think I've ever had 100x. I managed to get in at like 15 cents, so I'm very happy about that. I got in on the sell-off, where is it? Not to, like, you know, it doesn't really matter, like, where I got in. But yeah, I got it down here, and I know it seems very unlikely, innit? I know it seems very unlikely that I got in there. I know. I swear, I know. But I got in there. Not like hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? Like, you know, I got in with a little bit, and it's turning, the idea is to turn a little bit into a big bit over the course of time, innit? And I'm way more comfortable holding this because the amount of risk is not minuscule, but like, you know, I feel like, you know, like in maybe a year, maybe sooner, if it is what I think it is, holding one would be like, wow, you hold one. If you hold 100, they could be like, oh my god, you owed 100. If you own more than that, like, you know, you own thousands of them, like, you're on the radar of like yeah, well, I'm not saying it's going to be on the same level as Bitcoin. There's no way. Okay, there's no way. Like, Bitcoin is a decentralized network. The money is secured by energy, which I explained at the start of the video. Okay, this is secured by an algo and PvP and a treasury. Okay, but even 10% of what Bitcoin is worth in terms of market cap would send this thing to insane valuations, insane levels. 1%, you know, it's at what, 28 mil. Like, you're basically, to me, it's like I'm holding a Bitcoin at $1, and that's the narrative I'm telling myself. Whether it's true or not, who knows? Over the course of time, I'll be proven wrong or right. I've made smart decisions in terms of like decentralized coins and stuff like this before, and I've just got this. I feel the same way I felt when I bought ETH at $8. That's how I feel about this token. Now, what could cause price to go up other than demand? An increase in the Ethereum price. So like at the moment, Ethereum's like, you know, I mean, this is the one thing. Ethereum's at like what, 2,300. Now, that means that the reserve is worth 2,300 times 1,800 and whatever. So that's 4.9 mil. If ETH doubles, the reserve is worth double, which in turn means that the price, technically, which is based on the reserve, the accumulated ETH, is infinite. I don't know how to explain it, but watch the ETH price and then watch this. That's what I want to see next. It's like I want to see the catalyst from the Clarity Act go, and people are like, okay, we can now move money on chain. Which chain are we moving to? There are plebs out there that are saying it's going to be Solana, but the catalyst for Solana I don't see. Okay, I'm not saying that Solana is shit. It's not like, you know, a tribal thing. I don't see what Solana has that is unique, or differentiate itself from anything else, like an L2. Base is coming out this week as well, so that's going to be another interesting catalyst for ETH, because like apparently Base is going to be like, you know, working alongside, but I don't think so. I think Base is a wolf in sheep's clothing that's going to come out of its own network, which they are. It's called Azul. And their own token, which is going to be the consensus mechanism. The only thing that will keep it decentralized and secure is the fact that it would have ETH connected to it, but it won't be an L2. So if it's its own chain, all bets are off, innit? I don't know why I went on that side thing. Where was I? Yeah, so I was going to talk about Base, that's why. But yeah, ETH, in terms of ETH price going up, the catalyst would be the Clarity Act, the fact that people could now move money on chain. They're not going to pick Solana. They're not going to pick Base, because I'll tell you why they're not going to pick Base. It's because Brian Armstrong tried to strong arm the banks, and I made a banger tweet, right, that said that. Like, look at how clever I am, right? Okay, I'm not clever. Look how dumb I am. Okay, let's see if I can go there. It's quite upsetting because, like, where is it? Here, I said, look, Armstrong tried to strong arm the banks and they fixed his shit real good. So, like, you know, I'm noticing that there's a lot of news coming out of Coinbase that things aren't going too well. But, you know, that's obviously what I know, like, from what I read. And I think because he went against the banks and rallied against them, because he wanted to provide yield on stablecoins, USDC, and the banks were like, you can't provide yield because it will fuck our system, and we can't provide lending and mortgages, so no. And he's like, this is not right. I'm not signing the Clarity Act off. I don't care. I'm not part of it. Yeah, we're going to rise against it. You know, come on, guys, at Coinbase and Base users and Coinbase users, sign this petition to say we're not happy about it. And everyone's just like, look, man, everyone wants the Clarity Act. We don't care if you provide yield. We'll get the yield somewhere else. Okay, that's basically what happened there. But the banks, like, you know, being who they are, I know they're going after Coinbase as a business. I know they are. So, you know, they fired some employees. Their revenue is completely capitulated. You could say it's the bear market, but I've got a feeling there's other things at play here in terms of Coinbase and its ability to, you know, provide a service to customers. Let's just put it that way. Like, you don't fuck with the banks, innit? Like, not yet. You know, like, he played his hand too strong in the beginning, like, too early. Obviously, in his mind, he's been working in crypto from 2010, I don't know when, but, like, you know, he's been building the Coinbase up to where it is now, which is a multi-billion-dollar company that trades on the Nasdaq, or, you know, the stock exchange, whatever you want to call it. The price of the coin, you know, stock is down only, apparently. I haven't looked at it. He's lost a load of users. He's not making any revenue from trades because no one trades on his on his platform because they charge a fee. Um, they tried to release a base app that completely flopped. They went for creator coins, thinking that's a low, low barrier to entry, and they basically said, "Look, that didn't work either." So what we're going to do is we're going to change the base app into no longer a social content platform that's going to be the Instagram of decentralized networks. We're just going to do a trading platform on there, but we're going to charge you more than anyone else. It's like it's a disaster. Then they let go of 4,000 people. It's like, come on, guy. Oh, we're going to turn it into an AI. So now the pivot for Coinbase is like the base network Azul, which is coming out on the weekend or on the 12th. 2 days, exciting times. Tuesday, I think it is anyway. And they're saying, oh, we're going to do agentic commerce. So they're saying like, oh, we're going to have agents trading on chain. That's what this network is specifically built for. Okay, cool. But what does that do for retail? Like, what does that do for users? Like, okay, you want devs to build, bots that are going to trade on chain. That shows to users that you don't need us. So we don't feel valued at all. Then you promise like, you're going to do an airdrop. And then now I'm hearing rumors that like the airdrop's going to be cancelled. So like no base airdrop. We're just going to use bots to trade on our network. You're playing in a sandbox, No one listens to my content anyway, so who cares? But, base is in a very precarious situation. They've already pissed off consensus. Joe Lubin sort of like done an interview towards the back end of last year, and he was saying how, there are like wolves in sheep clothing in here, people who aren't fully aligned with the Ethereum method of doing things. And that boils down to the way that L2s have operated over the past 4 years, where they haven't been paying sequential fees to the Ethereum mainnet to Ethereum mainnet for Ethereum to secure those L2s. They never decentralized their networks. They kept the fees. Okay, Coinbase kept the fees. All right, that's what my understanding of it anyway, from what people are saying. Or if they did pay fees, it wasn't the fees that they were supposed to pay. They paid minimal. So there's a lot of things of drama going on in terms of like these different networks and their competition. Tony from Solana, the lead developer, who's quite popular on crypto Twitter, he was basically saying that the biggest worry that he has is Base. So like he knows that Base is gonna. This was ages ago as well, but like Base are gonna come out with their own chain, and they believe they have the users. I don't think they do, not anymore, because I'll go into that. He believes they got the users, so they're massive competition. But the users that Coinbase potentially have been absorbed by rival companies that were Web 2 but are now going into Web 3, like Robinhood, and there are a few others, like even Citibank, I think, or like there's a load of platforms that are about to go 24/7 trading on whatever network, potentially Ethereum. Some are saying Solana, some are saying Ethereum. I think it's just going to be everywhere in terms of like these like the Nasdaq stock exchange stocks or whatever, hyperliquid, like that's on Ethereum. Like as much as people say, oh, it's on Arbitrum, it's on Ethereum, bro. Like Arbitrum is Ethereum, so like Ethereum is the place to be in terms of like innovation and like real world assets being traded on chain. It's just that the venues that are contained within Ethereum are the places. So like Arbitrum is separate from Ethereum in terms of people's perspective of it, but Arbitrum is Ethereum, okay? And Hyperliquid is different from Ethereum, but Hyperliquid is Ethereum too, okay? Like people just need to get to grips with the fact that all of these things are built on Ethereum, okay? Despite they distance themselves from Ethereum because of like the reputation that it has in terms of the token being like an oil token. It's slow, it's expensive, and even that's changing. With these upgrades that are coming, I've been doing stuff on like that token, that Sato token is on Ethereum mainnet. The Unipeg, is on Ethereum mainnet, and to do a transaction it costs 4 cents. It's still kind of expensive, but it's not hundreds and hundreds of dollars like it used to be. So they're slowly like making major improvements in terms of Ethereum mainnet and people being on there as an avenue to like do commerce and exchanges and change and changing NFTs and like swapping tokens is what I mean. So yeah, I think Base is only like moat, or the moat that they're trying to sell is this Asiatic economy. They're gonna have to have super cheap transactions, and they're gonna have to grin and bear not having any users. They'll have developers that they'll pay, and those developers will build stuff that might be good, but they just fired 4,000 of them and said that we're going full AI. Well, that's the justification. Who knows, man? Who knows? Who knows? And this is like, this is a retail participant's understanding from what he's seen online. It's not even like, I've got insider information on any of it. It's just my perspective. But they got a big gap to jump. They'll survive, but it could be a way of like, it could be another liner. It could be another liner situation. It could be another Mega Eve situation where, they come out. They've got cool tech. I like Mega Eve. Like, there's apps on there. I like Showdown, and I like Hit One. I like those platforms. Yeah. And now they're trying to incentivize users to come over, but it just feels grifty the way that the token went out. They've done the ICO. The people who participated in the ICO made a 2x and dumped the token immediately. They weren't interested in staking it and decentralizing the L2, which is what I think the token is supposed to be used for. Then they try to do an incentive program, but it's like the users aren't incentivized to bridge money over because now they don't feel valued. You didn't give them an airdrop. You can't have the chicken before the egg. That makes no sense, but it does. I'm telling you. You give, like, and I've said it before, and like I've said it on the timeline. You're not going to run into a man at the pub, yeah, or you're not going to talk to a man on the bus. You're not going to get in a cab, yeah, and they're going to be like, oh, Mega Eve mainnet's happening. I'm super excited for it. I can't wait to get on chain and bridge money over and start using that, But you will get into a cab, or you will have go to the pub, and you will have a conversation with somebody at some point, if you're in the right circles, that will be like, oh my god, guy, do you remember that Hyperliquid airdrop from 2 years ago? And I just don't understand why the devs don't get it. I don't understand why the powers that be, the suits at the top, don't get it. It's like you reward the people who participate in your network pre-token. It's very simple. It doesn't matter how much you give them, because at the end of the day, what they're going to do, they're going to love you forever, and they'll probably use your network forever. They'll buy your shirts, they'll buy your jumpers, they'll wear your hats, they'll do content on it. But I've got a feeling Coinbase is going to do the same fucking thing, and they're going to be like, you know what, guys, we're going to do an ICO for 5% of the token. Don't do that. If you do that, it's over. I'm telling you. Airdrop everyone who's been using your network for the past 2 years. Airdrop the content creators who put themselves out there and spent 6, 8, 9 months streaming every day. The genuine ones, not the ones who were what's it called? Just doing pre-recorded content. The guys like me who were showing up every day doing content like this. Reward those guys. I'm telling you, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. Same for Pump Fund. No one's talking about Pump Fund. Yeah, you got the you got the broccoli heads on Pump Fund who are spending their lunch money trying to make it on meme coins. Okay, if that's the type of clientele that you want on your participants you want on your platform, then by all means keep doing what you're doing. But if Pump Fund had done the airdrop when they were supposed to, instead of burning the token, the market would be booming right now. Their Pump Fund thing, yeah, they can brag about making $1 million a day. They'd be making 10 million a day right now. I'm telling you, because you've rewarded participants and you've created loyalty and a brand by giving people what they want. It's really simple, guy. It's really simple. MetaMask, I'm telling you, MetaMask and OpenSea are due to do airdrops. They've been talking about it for fucking years. Okay, when they do it, no one's gonna care. I don't care. I guarantee you, when it comes out, everyone will be disappointed. No one's gonna be happy, joy, shocked. No one's gonna have that Uniswap effect where oh my god, there's money in there. How do you claim it? Blah blah blah. None of that is gonna happen. And you might think, oh, those 2,000 people that were using your chain, those legitimate users that were using your chain, aren't valuable. But trust me, they are. Just look at Hyperliquid. Just look at them. There's nothing better than someone who's down and out at the moment in this bear market, who's got rinsed, getting a substantial reward. Trust me. They'll be your most loyal brand ambassadors and customers, and you'll never have to hear or pay for anything. They will show up regardless. But the assumption, I think, from a lot of these companies and L2 developers and all the rest of it is that we're here for something else. I use Mega Eve pre-token, right? I use Mega Eve. I was on Showdown. I was in the Discord. I enjoyed the products because I'm curious. I didn't get an airdrop or anything like that. But as soon as they started doing the incentive program, I stopped using the network because I'm not here to be somebody's. I'm not here to be running on somebody's dime. That's not why I'm here. Make it make sense. Anyway, I've ranted, and the Sato price is up. All-time highs? Potentially. How long have we been streaming for? Hour 13. It's a new record for me. Anything else I want to rant about today? No. So yeah, I'll do an update on the token price tomorrow. I'm just gonna let that breathe for a minute. Let me just breathe for a minute. Think about what I just said, okay? And I know no one watches my content, did it? But think about what I just said. Alright guys, I'm gonna play you out. I think I'm done. Got a headache now. Alright guys, let me play you out. Alright. I hope everyone has a good Sunday. Enjoy your Sunday roast. Arsenal West Ham tomorrow. Come on, Arsenal. I'm a Tottenham fan, but come on, Arsenal. I want West Ham out of there. Maybe they draw. I think it's like 2-2. This game on. Yeah. Good little stream. I enjoyed that. Peace out, guys.
if you want me.